Hi, and welcome to another episode of Kajabi in 5 minutes. Today, I'm going to be talking about section organization. Last week was focused on the content blocks, and what you can do to move those around, the settings specific to content blocks. And today, I'm going to be talking about the settings specific to the section that the blocks go in. So when you're in a section, you've got two drop downs. These are under your desktop layout settings of your section, and you've got a vertical alignment or arrangement and a horizontal alignment or arrangement. Under the vertical, you've got three options, top, center, or bottom. And this is going to be your default alignment for all of the content in this section. Top works really well if you're using text boxes or feature boxes and you want the tops of them to all look really nice. The headings that way, your heading line is lined up perfectly on all of them. And though your text may vary in each box, they're starting out really nice with the headings all being very visually appealing in the alignment. So top is a great option there. Under the horizontal arrangement, you've got some more options. You've got left, right, center, as well as space between and space around. Space between is going to put as much space as possible in between. And this is going to push your content to the far edges on either side. Depending on how much space in between there is going to depend on how big your content blocks are. But the thing here is that they will be pushed to the extremes on each side of your page. Space around is going to take all of the space and divide it evenly so that there's the same amount of space above and below, side and side of your boxes, kind of making a nice overall bubble, so to speak, for your boxes. So that's what those do. You're just going to need to play with it to see how it works for you. With all of these settings, you can go into content-specific settings and adjust the outside spacing to give things some nudges. It's just something that you'll need to get used to and comfortable with as you build pages and sections to see which are going to work the best for you. There's a couple more section settings, and that's page full width or full height. Now, with the full width of the page, what that means is your content is going to go right to the edge. And you see this most often with image blocks. It's actually a nice look depending on how you're designing things. And what it does is, regardless of how big a person's browser is, the image is going to be sucked right to the edge of the screen. And normally there's some space there. And if someone stretches their browser really big, your page might be constrained to this, but sometimes you'll see that extra space, going out. If someone's got a super wide window for some reason. With full width page, your content stretches, or a full width section, your content stretches right to the edges. And that's useful if you're going for the type of section that is just completely covered by your content. The full height setting is set to take the full height or frame of your browser window, your page. So this is really good for pictures where you want to have, above the fold, a really catching image or scene. That full height is going to make sure that it's taking up the full frame of the thing, and then they have to scroll down to get to below. It's a great way to control that. So if you are doing an image in the background, full height could be something that you want to explore. Now, speaking of images, if you're putting an image in the background, there are settings for that as well. And this is in the background settings of your section, not the desktop layout settings. But in the background settings, you can load an image, and then you can load a position for that image, top, bottom, or middle. And this is something that you're going to have to play with specifically for each image just to see what works. But if you're having a hard time getting your image right, then something that you can do to make this a bit easier is take your image, say it's a picture of you, and put above your head the amount of space that you want people to see on their screen, on their website. Hard code that into the image by cropping your image to that height. And then what you can do, so that there's the perfect amount of space above your head cropped into the image, You can load that image in the background, and then for the background arrangement, set it to top. And that way, Kajabi is going to force the top of your picture to be at the top of the section, regardless of how big the section is. And when people are dragging or adjusting their browser to different sizes, the cropping of your image that the browser does will happen on the bottom because you forced the top to always be the way you want. And that's one way that you can avoid having your head cropped out on different screen sizes if you're doing a picture of yourself. So those are some things to play with. So that's what I have for you today. And tune in next week for some more awesome Kajabi tidbits.